I need to set the stage for you here. It's 1940 in Paris, France. World War II is raging across Europe, and the French government is completely falling apart. And in the midst of this chaos, a young Frenchman by the name of Albert Camus started writing down his thoughts on life and the absurd. Camus' first philosophical problem was that of suicide. Camus believed that there was no God, no great purpose to life, just the indifference of the world around us. But in this void of meaning we exist, and our conscious self searches for meaning. Meaning that will never be found, and even if some kind of greater meaning did exist, it is not discoverable by us in our current state, and so it is useless to us and it can be discarded. And this almost paradoxical existence, our search for meaning in a godless, meaningless world, is what Camus called the absurd. Given this absurdity, our inability to escape from our futile search for meaning, suicide would seem like a logical option. Why prolong an existence that offers nothing but suffering and cognitive dissonance? But Camus rejected suicide. He saw it as another attempt to foist meaning into a meaningless world. Suicide doesn't ultimately solve the absurd. Instead, Camus chooses to revolt against it, to use our consciousness and see the inherent paradox of our existence and not collapse into resignation at our inevitable meaningless death, or equally succumb to the idea that hope exists. There is no hope. There is no God. There is no meaning. What we are left with is our consciousness and the conscious decision to live in defiance of our absurd nature. Camus then brings to us our absurd hero, Sisyphus, a figure of Greek mythology who tried to cheat death and in so doing found himself tortured for eternity by the gods. It was Sisyphus's fate to roll a boulder up a hill, then watch it roll back down to the bottom, and be forced to go back down and roll it back up in perpetuity. How is this the absurd hero? I'll let Camus play it out. Quote, "If this myth is tragic, that is because its hero is conscious. Where would his torture be, indeed, if at every step the hope of succeeding upheld him? The workman of today works every day in his life at the same tasks, and this fate is no less absurd. But it is tragic only at the rare moments when it becomes conscious. Sisyphus, proletarian of the gods, powerless and rebellious, knows the whole extent of his wretched condition. It is what he thinks of during his descent. The lucidity that was to constitute his torture at the same time crowns his victory. There is no fate that cannot be surmounted by scorn. I leave Sisyphus at the foot of the mountain. One always finds one's burden again. But Sisyphus teaches the higher fidelity that negates the gods and raises rocks. He too concludes that all is well. This universe henceforth without a master seems to him neither sterile nor futile. Each atom of that stone, each mineral flake of that night-filled mountain, in itself forms a world. The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy."